office from which he can be removed. House impeachment managers said in their filing, a former official remains subject to trial and conviction for abuses committed in office. The Democrats said there is no January exception to impeachment or any other provision of the Constitution.
The Biden administration launching the first retail rollout of COVID vaccine.
Roughly 6,500 pharmacies across the U.S. will be part of the first phase. White House COVID coordinator Jeff Zients says,
starting on February 11th, the federal government will deliver vaccines directly to select pharmacies across the country.
The initial source will include 1 million doses, but Zients says eventually they hope to scale it up to include millions of doses, going to tens of thousands of pharmacies across the U.S.
It's a key component of President Biden's national strategy.
Mark Remillard, ABC News.
On the COVID relief package, Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the president's having a virtual lunch meeting that includes Republicans.
There is some time. That's why the president has been great gauging why he did with Republicans last night, Democrats today, and why he's conveyed that he would like to continue doing that in the days ahead.
Republicans in Georgia State Senate are moving quickly to limit who can vote and how. After Democrats won the presidential election and 2 Senate runoffs in the once reliably red state, Democrats said the bills are unnecessary and will suppress legal votes. The bills, among other things, ban ballot drop boxes and block outside groups from sending out absentee ballot applications. Georgia elections officials, judges, and lawmakers have determined there was no widespread voter fraud. A Russian court orders opposition leader Alexei Navalny to a prison camp for over 2 years on probation violations. Listening to ABC News.
So let's start with all the people smitten by a certain sweetheart. Now narrow it to all those lovebirds who timeless Valentine's Day sneak up on them and need to lose their sweetheart in a hurry. For you romantic but forgetful Cupid, Walgreens has great gifts for pickup in as little as 30 minutes. So whether it's a card and a box of candy or a bottle of perfume, Walgreens helps get sweet gifts in a heartbeat. Aww.
This week, select Ruffles Silver Chocolates are buy one, get one free. Of each lesser price restrictions apply. Check out Walgreens.com/pick up for details.
With surprisingly great rates, State Farm is the real deal in car and home insurance. We use State Farm, and I absolutely love their agents.
Oh, they're always ready to help with personalized service so we can customize our insurance. It's a great price with even greater service. And their award-winning technology is easy to use. You can manage your coverage, pay your bill, and file a claim with the State Farm mobile app.
I love that. So when you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
As human rights activists sound the alarm about the military coup in Myanmar and protests in Russia, here's the connection with the U.S. from ABC News senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell.
We already saw authoritarians around the world almost rub their hands in glee at some of the themes in the United States and said, well, look, don't lecture us on how to run a country. Look at the mess you're making of it. If that's what democracy looks like, we don't want it. President Biden, this is one of his first real tests. This and the protests that we've seen in Russia as well.
While the race is on to end the COVID pandemic, experts are trying to understand how it started.
There are 2 big medical testing facilities in Wuhan, China, the Hubei Provincial Center for Disease Control and the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which studies some of the world's deadliest pathogens. Both labs collect live animals to study viruses, and a year ago, some scientists had warned about the possibility of human infection. The Chinese government has denied the coronavirus came from any of its labs. This week, the World Health Organization scientists are taking a closer look. Wearing full protective gear, they have toured the facilities, describing them as excellent, and their meetings as informative. They aren't releasing any other details.
I wonder how much of this used to be forced
North Carolina Division of Motor Vehicles is no longer issuing specialty license plates featuring the Confederate battle flag. Reason? Complaints, says the DMV. It has up to now been issued to members of the Sons of Confederate Veterans Organization. This is ABC News.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's the culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Granger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Granger.com, or just
as soon as possible.
Granger, for the ones who get it done.
And it would be interesting to
Chuck
see.
Everson, ABC News.
I mean, smell.
Time now, 2:05. Currently, our temperature outside the KDSC studios near Blight, 44 degrees, mostly clear skies, southeast winds around 5 miles per hour. A look at our local weather forecast for today. Should be mostly sunny. Highs in the mid-40s. Southeast winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, partly cloudy. Lows in the upper 20s. Southeast winds around 10 miles per hour. On Wednesday, partly cloudy. Highs around 50 degrees. Wednesday night, 20% chance of rain. Lows in the upper 20s. And on Thursday, should be mostly cloudy. 20% chance of rain. Freezing rain and snow with highs in the mid-30s.
Ooh, there's a nice gust of wind gust.
You're not like everybody else, folks, so you're careful. Take your time, make sure things are right.
The right insurance company will bring you peace of mind on those houses.
Trump must be tried and convicted to ensure that no
You want a
future
little
president
bang
ever
in your
thinks
yin-yang.
it's okay
Come
to
on.
incite insurrection.
This is the reality. We do not want to shackle our children to the dead weight of jobs that aren't going to exist 30 years from now.
But who cares? 33, 28, died in a hospital, died in a nursing home. They died.
Freedom is back in style. Welcome.
213 for 85, but what's their 87 cost? They'll probably charge you like $250 for their 87, eh?
Sean Hannity Show. More behind-the-scenes information on breaking news and more bold, inspired solutions for America.
All right, clients who are with us, 800-941. Sean, you want to be a part of the program, 800. And by the way, I'm getting ahead of myself like Joe because I'm thinking about throwing to this. I'm cracking myself up. All right, so I've gone through all impeachment papers. Let me tell you, Linda, you've read through them too. I sent them to you earlier today. We got the Democrats, they're trying to ratchet up. The president said to fight for, and then he also said, many of you will peacefully, patriotically march to the Capitol so that you can let your voices be heard. And I'm reading it, and my eyes are glassing over here. And the Democrats, all this is with a foregone conclusion next week, is them just trying to ratchet up, to bloody up politically. Now put all these extra words in your speech these days, because people will take it the wrong way. Democrats want to bloody up Trump, so he can't run in 2024. That's what this is about. They don't care about how much time or money or the American people at all when they're doing this. All right, Lindsey Graham now is being very clear. We now know 45 United States senators believe it's unconstitutional. There are three arguments. One, the constitutionality of this impeachment. Of course, that would include things like they don't have jurisdiction, A, because he's no longer president. You cannot remove him from office. And, it also includes other issues involving the Constitution. Then it's the whole legal aspect. We have court documents, even the media mob, all now, and FBI investigators all saying that a lot of this was pre-planned. Now, it doesn't mean that some of the people that went to the rally didn't allow themselves to get caught up in something they should never have been a part of, but that to them would have been spontaneous. But again, we're down to like over the summer. The 99% of protesters were hurling bottles and Molotov cocktails and rocks and bricks and injuring over 2,000 cops or 2,500 cops and killing 25 people. And that was not condemned by liberal Democrats. So now you've got a problem is the whole, incitement led to what happened at the Capitol. There it is falling apart. And then the third aspect of this is, if this is your standard, okay, we'll point out Chuck Schumer's threat to Supreme Court justices, Joe Biden's threat to beat the hell out of Trump, the comments of Kamala Harris after the burning down of the Minneapolis police precinct and the rioting that went on in Minneapolis. If you beware, you take note, it isn't going to stop, it shouldn't stop, they shouldn't stop, we won't stop. Okay, so that's now fair game.
Nancy Pelosi's comments after what happened in Wisconsin and people raided the Capitol there. I didn't hear any Democrats all worked up over any of these things. And so it's a matter of, okay, well, if that's your standard, then we need to be impeaching all of these people. Maxine Waters, I'm going to take Trump out tonight. Great. Sounds like a threat to me. And so Lindsey Graham literally said, if the Democrats want to extend out what is a predetermined outcome, just to continue to waste taxpayers' time and money and effort and divide the country further, but as Mr. Unity, Joe Biden won't speak out about any of this, that, in fact, if they start bringing up witnesses, which is another sidebar to the whole snap impeachment that Democrat Jonathan Turley keeps saying you can't have that because, well, we hadn't even established the facts of the case and what actually happened on January 6th. And now that the FBI court documents, investigators, and even the media mob are reporting that, yeah, there's different groups. We've identified this one in Ohio, this other group in this other state, and that they had plotted and planned the whole thing. That's very separate and apart. In other words, what has happened if they planned it? And they're out there the night before. You saw the pipe bomb video, planting pipe bombs the night before. So, all of that is, so Lindsey Graham is saying that the Democrats want to call one witness, that they want to open Pandora's box, and
it was
what that
ajar,
means
wasn't it?
I think if they open up this can of worms, I think he says he's going to bring the FBI in.
The question is, how does this trial end? If the House managers want to use this as a political commercial against Donald Trump and Republicans, and they want to call witnesses now, they didn't call during the impeachment process in the House, this thing could go for weeks or months, and that would be bad for the country. So, to my Democratic colleagues, if you vote to call one witness, none were called in the House, get ready for a long trial.
Well, we only got a couple of seconds, so let me ask you, do you anticipate witnesses being called and then being cross-examined?
I hope not. They didn't call any in the House. I think we know what happened that day. But if you open up that can of worms, we'll want the FBI to come in and tell us about how people actually pre-planned these attacks and what happened with the security footprint at the Capitol. You open up Pandora's box if you call one witness. I hope you don't call any and we vote and get this trial over next week when it starts.
Now that goes right to the power of Nancy Pelosi. You know, she's the head of the Sergeant of Arms and responsible for security of the Capitol. And then the question is, with all the knowledge ahead of time, why did they not? They knew hundreds of thousands of people were going to march to the Capitol. And why was the chief of police, or the Capitol Police, denied the National Guard that was requested down those 6 separate times? All right, and then I would say bringing Kamala Harris as a witness. And then how do you have, presiding over this ship show, a guy that already declared that Donald Trump ought to be convicted, that being Pat Leahy? Why? Because John Roberts, who constitutionally would be the guy to preside over this, has said, no, not going to happen, you're not dragging me into this. Not exactly a fan of Donald Trump either. So now they're thinking about other ways to hurt Trump. And now will Joe Biden revoke Donald Trump's access to intelligence briefings as past presidents usually get? They're usually considered, former president has been considered, as being kept in the loop on national security matters. Maybe, just maybe, that would be a good idea to do, but all this is, it's a show. And if they want to bring in trial witnesses, I actually find if they brought in the right ones, that I have a great list I'll put together that they ought to bring in and the questioning and where it ought to go. I have my own ideas on this. And I think if this is now the standard incendiary insurrection-style language, there's an awful lot of people now that need to be added to the list of an impeachment trial. So we'll see. But it's really simple. It's going to come down to all of that. But I'll tell you another thing. This can't happen. Stick to the basics here. Everybody dropped the ball. Apparently there were indications, warnings, intelligence about this pre-planned. Why did they not prepare for this? Why wasn't the guard brought up? All of these things. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. And okay, they're going to edit their tape. Donald Trump says to fight. This goes back to targeted districts and And I think Sarah Palin still has this ongoing lawsuit with the New York Times over this. The photo was supposed to be settled this summer. We were watching
Should I go to the garden of Eden? I didn't know it was in North America.
Oh, okay, targeted districts and a bullseye. Oh, that means you're threatening people. No, that's Bob Beckel's invention. He's been on the air with us telling us how we used to do that all the time. You target these districts or potential districts where you might be able to pick up a seat or two. Very common in politics. In other corruption news with Democrats, and their hypocrisy is breathtaking and morally bankrupt. But Joe Biden's head picked ahead the DOJ criminal division. Get this, now we find out, has ties to Hunter Biden. Axios reporting. Hunter hired a new attorney to assist with what is now officially a federal criminal investigation and defense just a month before his father became president. On Inauguration Day, one of the lawyer's close colleagues was tasked to temporarily lead the Justice Department's criminal division. Oh, how convenient for the Bidens. That